These people are mad because you refuse to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You refuse their setups. There are some people, they get joy out of seeing you uncomfortable. They get a kick out of seeing you in uncomfortable situations. When you start realizing there are certain people you just need to stay away from, there are certain people that like to see you uncomfortable, so they will try to put you in awkward situations. Those are people you need to stay away from. People who know that you don't like digging into your personal business in front of everybody, they will deliberately go out of their way to ask you inappropriate questions to make you uncomfortable. They will wait until they have a crowd full of people to put you on the spot. You understand now that being around certain people who don't like you, who don't respect you, who only want to use you as their entertainment, that is not something that you're signing up for. And there are some people who do not like it. So these people are mad because you refuse to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Now, when I say uncomfortable situations, I don't mean never stepping outside of the box. I'm stretching yourself so that you can have new opportunities. I mean that you're not putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and hanging around people that you do not like and they don't like you. You're not sitting around people who have that jealous, envious, or weirdo energy. You're not tolerating people for the sake of making other people comfortable while you are uncomfortable. There are some people, and this brings me to the first point, because you're not a people pleaser, there will be some people who take issue with you because now you're not willing to make yourself uncomfortable to make everybody else comfortable. See, a lot of women deal with being around toxic family members, being around toxic friendships or relationships, being around people they wouldn't necessarily deal with, all for the sake of trying to make somebody else happy. I remember having a session with a young lady where she was saying that, her family-in-law was a little bit triggering for her, where they always had some kind of shady remarks or acted kind of funny towards her. But she felt obligated because of her husband to still go into these situations. Can I tell you something? Even if it's your family or family-in-law or whomever, that doesn't mean you have to sit there and be uncomfortable and be mistreated because you're trying to keep the peace. Sometimes keeping the peace when it comes to dealing with miserable, toxic, jealous, or envious people, or people that just have that weirdo energy, sometimes maintaining the peace means that you're not around. Sometimes maintaining the peace is that you don't come around them. So you refuse to put yourself in these uncomfortable situations. You refuse their setups. Now, what do I mean by setups? People who are often very miserable, jealous, and envious, sometimes their goal is to make you uncomfortable. I'll say that again. Sometimes the goal is to make you uncomfortable. When somebody does not like you, or they think they're better than you, or they think that you think you're better than them, or they think that somehow you don't belong and they're trying to ice you out or use isolation as a form of bullying, sometimes these people will try to do those things because they're trying to make you uncomfortable. See, when you recognize, and I want to speak on this for a moment when it comes to this isolation as bullying, people who are often very miserable, jealous, and or envious, or just odd in their behavior, sometimes they will try to use isolation to make you feel uncomfortable in certain situations. So what can this look like? This can look like them speaking to everybody else in the room except for you. This can sound like them making conversations and asking other people their opinions and thoughts on different things in the team meeting, but never asking for your input. This can look like people setting up events and saying, we're all going to get together after work, or we're all going to throw a party for our cousin or auntie or whoever, and never including you. When you are dealing with people who are deliberately trying to make you uncomfortable, and I'm not saying this to say that you should care about these things, because a little bit of a sidebar, but still on point. If people feel like they need to go out of their way to try to exclude you or isolate you or exclude you from whatever it is they're doing, and they want to make that obvious to you, these people are obviously feeling kind of threatened by you. That's just my opinion on it. So these people are mad because you refuse to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. When you start recognizing that people are trying to attempt to make you feel uncomfortable or bully you or isolate you by excluding you from different things, that's when you start staying away. You're not going to sit there and allow people to play emotional mind games or manipulation with you. You're not willing to allow people to try to make you feel as if you don't belong in certain situations. Another thing that people do when they try to make you uncomfortable and you refuse their setups, they try to surround you with people that they know you do not like. So these are your people who know that maybe you're having an issue or maybe somebody acts a little different towards you or a little shady. They will invite those people on purpose just to make you feel uncomfortable. For the life of me, I don't understand how some women and these whole girl groups and these cliques, they will invite friends of friends that the other friends do not like, and they know there's going to be a lot of tension, and yet they still invite them anyway. When you have people in your life who are constantly trying to surround you with your enemies or surround you with people who do not get along with you or the vibe is off, those are people who are trying to make you uncomfortable on purpose. Now, I can hear somebody in the background saying, well, nobody can make you feel uncomfortable. That's on you. To an extent, that is true. However, people are very slick, very shady, and very crafty in the things that they do, especially women when they are jealous and envious of other women. When they are jealous and envious of other women, one of the main things that women will do is that whole exclusion thing that I just spoke about. They will talk all around you. They will look past you. They will do everything to see you but not see you in an attempt to make you feel uncomfortable. Now, let's be real. Can that make you feel uncomfortable in the moment? Absolutely. You might be trying to figure out what is going on. Why does it appear that these people are not talking to me or asking me any questions or including me in this conversation? Sometimes when your presence is a little bit too heavy, and when I say heavy, I mean your presence is a little bit too light. A woman who is jealous and envious of another woman and she feels like she needs to make her feel uncomfortable in order to prove some kind of point or to isolate her, it's because your pure presence, your non-toxic, non-jealous, envious energy is irritating their darkness. So these people are mad because you refuse to put yourself in uncomfortable and awkward situations. You refuse their setups. Now, how can you refuse being in uncomfortable situations where you feel like it's a setup for you to feel awkward and uncomfortable? Number one, start knowing how to read the room and the energy of the people you're around. A lot of times when you walk into a room or you're around certain people for not that long amount of time, you'll notice what the energy is like. You will notice if the energy is very toxic, very dark, if they like to just get around and talk about other people. One of the telltale signs that you are dealing with women who are very jealous and envious of other women, and they're trying to make them feel uncomfortable on purpose, they're not warm or inviting. Now, I have to say this because when it comes to being warm and inviting, that is one of the traits of being a feminine, classy, gracious woman. And even men can have that warm and inviting way about them where they make you feel comfortable when you come into their presence. But for women, you would expect for them to have this warm, inviting energy, even with people they don't know. And the unfortunate reality is that a lot of women do not have that warm, inviting energy. So when you sense that this environment is not comfortable for me, it's very awkward, they're trying to exclude me or trying to act funny, normally there will be a lack of warm and inviting energy. Another way that you can tell a woman is jealous and envious and trying to make you uncomfortable on purpose is that they use the opportunity in front of an audience, in front of a crowd, to humiliate you. Now, I did a video maybe a year ago on humiliation rituals. I will link it in the description of this video. When a woman is jealous and envious and she's deliberately trying to make you feel uncomfortable and you refuse those setups, they do things like trying to embarrass you, trying to humiliate you in front of groups of other people. So these will be your people who will be very nice to you. When you are talking to them one-on-one, you're having a nice conversation, you think everything is okay. And the moment their minions, their groupies come around, all of a sudden they change up on you. They start asking you personal questions in front of everybody or start trying to highlight something they perceive as a flaw. When you start getting a taste of that kind of humiliation, that kind of energy, that kind of negativity from people, that is your cue to get away from those people, especially if it happens all the time. I'm not speaking about a one-off situation where somebody might have said something and they didn't mean anything by it. Maybe they said something and it came out the wrong way. We're all human. We all have a slip of the tongue, make mistakes. But people who are deliberately trying to make you uncomfortable because they dislike you or they're jealous or envious or just have that weirdo energy, they will wait until they have a crowd of people to ask, is that your real hair? Did you find a job yet? I'm just saying, using examples of things that could be considered inappropriate when you're in front of a group of people. And I don't know about you, but I noticed that when women are jealous and envious of other women, they love to embarrass other women. I recently saw a video of a young lady, a guy was approaching her and her friend used that as an opportunity to tell him, her real hair doesn't really lay that way. That's not the way her hair really goes. It's like, why did they feel the need to bring attention to something that wasn't obvious? It's because they have that jealous, toxic energy. So what do you do when you start noticing that you're around people who like to make you feel uncomfortable on purpose, simply because they're jealous, envious, or just a miserable person? Number one, if you are in that situation, in that moment, you could just call it out for what it is. You could say something to the effect, do you really think this is the right time to ask me something like that? Why would you ask me something like that right now? Why are you even asking me this question? See, people who think they're doing something by trying to make other people feel uncomfortable in front of other people, sometimes it leaves them looking dumb when you actually call them out on it. See, when people think that they can say things or do things to make you feel uncomfortable or put you on the spot, when you call attention to the fact that they're trying to say something that does not make sense, sometimes it makes them look the way they were trying to make you look. You embarrass them instead of them embarrassing you. Another thing you can do when you are dealing with people who are trying to make you uncomfortable on purpose and you refuse their setup, and this is the number one for me, is to stay away from them. When you start noticing how people operate, and you got some grown women who like to show off when they get around other groups of women. I mean women who you think would be past this kind of thing well into their 40s, well into their 50s, and so on. It's like they lose all brain cells when they get around certain people. Stop hanging around women who are one way around certain people and another way around other people. To me, if your personality has to shape shift into whoever you're around, you are, number one, you're not an authentic person. And number two, you're a follower. This brings me to the next point. People get mad when you refuse to be around people who make you uncomfortable on purpose. You refuse their setups because you know that they're looking at your laid back, kind nature as some kind of weakness, and you refuse to let them exploit you. I don't know what it is about people who tend to be what they call nice or kind. that gives demonic, evil, twisted demons, in my opinion, the idea that that gives them a right to make other people uncomfortable or try to embarrass or humiliate them simply because they're nice people. Sometimes you being a kind-hearted person or being laid back, you might not necessarily operate in the same miserable, toxic way they do. Sometimes people will see that as an opportunity to try to play you, to try to play in your face, to try to make you uncomfortable and awkward and say things and do things. When you start recognizing that people are taking your kindness for weakness, stay away from those people. It's better to stay away from people who want to test you than to be tested and fail. Now, we have all been in situations where we have dealt with some grimy people who we thought were decent stand-up people, only to find out once they get around their other rats or around their other, little Goonies, like the movie, they start acting crazy. Those are people you want to stay away from. I cannot deal with people who shape shift into whomever they're around. If you're a solid person with me in private, you can be a solid person with me in public. But that's just my opinion. So these people are mad because you refuse to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You refuse their setups. This includes being around family members who drain your energy. This includes being around overly nosy and opinionated family members. This includes being around friends who think they know you so well that they can run your life. I'm all for people giving constructive criticism or offering advice when asked, but there are some people, because they already have some kind of issue toward you sometimes, or they feel like they can play with you in that way, sometimes they don't know what to say out of their mouth. And if you're not careful, it can leave you wondering what is wrong with them. What made them think they could say that or do that? It'll make you feel uncomfortable, and then next thing you know, you're trying to figure out 15 ways to defend yourself the next time you see them. There is no next time. Don't deal with people who make you feel uncomfortable. So what can you do when people start seeing that you're starting to distance yourself from those who make you feel uncomfortable? Family might be wondering why you don't come around. Why didn't you come to this event? Why didn't you come to the party? Why you don't go out with us after work? You don't have to explain your moves to anybody. As a woman, and this is just how I feel, we have the right to feel how we feel. And if somebody makes us feel uncomfortable, be it man or woman, we don't have to explain. Be it family or friend or stranger, we don't have to explain. We just get gone. Period. Like and subscribe to the channel and share this content. Hit the notification bell so that you're aware when I post a brand new video. If you watch this video until the very end, put the cute little high heel emoji in the comment section. I absolutely love to see it. Take care.